Good morning. Ayin Beis, Volume 3, page 1281. Aleph, Resh Pei Aleph. Okay. Before I begin, I will be on Newsmax at 10:10. I have to get off, so the class will be a little short. It'll be 30 minutes or 25 minutes. So middle of discussing the mitzvahs, the dvarim she'odom eichel peirusein be'elam hazeh v'keren kayemes le'elam haba, that the matters, the four things he enumerates that a person eats of their fruit in this world, which he explained to Rabbi Rashab, that this is a taste and a revelation of the Gilu of La'osed Lave, that we have already the fruits, while the Kedem is preserved and remains intact in the world to come, meaning the future. And we spoke about Kibbud Aveim, the Hamshach of Yudke and Tevovke. We spoke about Gemilas Chasodim, the Hamshach of Rav Chesed, Chesed Bligvul, a limitless flow of Arich into Zah. Spoke about Havoas Sholom, Bein Odom Lechavere, bringing peace. Odom Lechavere, according to the Rizal, is Arich and Zah. Arich Ampin and Zah Ampin. So all this reflects a higher than Ishtalshalos level of revelation into existence, which is a Bein of what will be in the future. And finally, you got the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, that Talmud Torah too, he said, is the Hamshacha, which encompasses everything, also of Abba V'Ima, written Torah and the oral Torah is Chachma and Bina, Abba V'Ima, Musar Avicha and Torah Simecha, and Kibbud Aveim is the learning Torah Lishma, where you mamshech Ein Sof into Torah. So you see, first of all, from here, how Torah also is mamshech like this, and it's connected, like he says, connected kulam, it encompasses all other items of the dvarim elu. Now, I finally did a little more research because, as we said in davening in the morning, we mentioned 10 things, and here he only mentions 4. Earlier in the beginning on page 1212, he mentioned 5. So I looked it up. The Gemara in Kedushin actually seems to be the source of what he's saying here, because there's only 4 mentioned. In Kedushin that he refers to on bottom of page 1280, page Daf Mem, he brings these 4. Kibbud Aveim, Gemilas Chasodim, Havoas Sholom Ben Odom L'Chavere, and Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. In Shabbos, in the Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Kuv Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, 127a, he brings 6 that are not the same as these 4. I didn't look it up, but it looks like the 6 and 4 add up to the 10 that we say in the morning. That's in the Mishnah in Peah. Now, in the Gemara there, they ask the question, how do you reconcile the 6 with these 4? Here it says these 4 are Eichel Meperesein, and there it says another 6. Achnos Sarchim he includes there. There's a bunch of things he includes there. And the Gemara answers all those 6 are encompassed in these 4. So I still have to figure out why it says 5 on page 1212 in Ayin Beis. But clearly these 4 that he's saying is the Gemara in Kedushin very directly talks about these 4 that we are saying here. Again, Kibbud Aveim, Gemilas Chasodim, Havoas Sholom Ben Odom L'Chavere, and Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. So that's some information that helps put things into context. One more point that we learned yesterday that I want to sum up.
Maybe it's 2 things.
I didn't hear what you said. What?
Maybe Havoas Sholom being Odom.
I just said the Gemara talks about it in detail on Gemara Tav Kuv Chav Zayin Amud Aleph and answers the question how you reconcile the 6 are included in the 4.
No, maybe
so there's no maybe.
5.
Just look it up. He spoke about it beferish.
Bein Odom L'Chavere, Bein Ish Le'ishtoi, could be it's 2 things.
Why are we speculating? Open the Gemara. It talks about it. He says it beferish. Why do we have to guess?
It's called 4 or 5. The Gemara is calling it 4.
Which Gemara?
I said that Havoas Sholom Bein Odom Chaveru Bein Ish LeIshto, it could be it's 2 things. That's why it's 5.
Where's Ish LeIshto? Where do you see Ish and Ishto?
It said right away, Havoas Sholom Bein Odom Chaveru Bein Ish LeIshto.
Where? Where's it saying? This in the Mimer here?
I don't know. You're saying it every day in the morning.
Where do you see? No one said Ish and Ishto. No one even mentions that.
In the morning, you're saying it by Elu Dvarim Shalom.
I don't know. I'm talking Ayin Beis right now. I'm not. That you have to look into. I just said the Gemara talks about it. Here he doesn't mention Israel. Here he mentions 4 things. I'm explaining the Ayin Beis right now. I'm not here to talk about the. I said the Ayin Beis is based on the Kedushin Daf Mem, and in Shabbos he reconciles it with the 6 that he talks about there. That's all I said. Okay. In Kedushin he doesn't mention. He mentions these 4. So one more thing that I wanted to sum up from Masechta Kedushin. He says that the reason these are chosen is because they have both Bein Odom L'Chaver, Bein Odom L'Mokim, and Bein Odom L'Chavere. That's the Gemara in Kedushin that I just cited. That's the Gemara that he's actually citing here altogether. These 4 are from that Gemara. Because there are mitzvahs that the primary thing is Bein Odom L'Mokim, and some are Bein Odom L'Chavere. These have all 4. So he explained what is Teiv L'Shamayim. Teiv is the Teir Hagonus. Again, a deeper Eir that's higher than Ishtalshlus. That's Hivdili La'atzmei. It's hidden. L'maylam Erecha Elamus. And that's Nimshach in Atzilus. That's Teiv L'Shamayim. And Nimshach in Biyah, Teiv L'Brias. So that also is connected to this theme of being of Eichel Peresei and Be'elam Hazeh, that there has an element of Elam Haba that we can experience now through these mitzvahs, that type of hamshacha from a higher state. Okay. Now, as far as the other items, according to the Gemara and Shabbos, they're included in these 4. I didn't look up in Pei. I have to see again all the details to see if it all fits. But bottom line is he's definitely not talking about anything but these 4 here. So he's chose the Gemara and Kedushin and not the other items, and most likely because they encompass everything else already. So he speaks about the 4 primary ones. Okay. So that's so Kibbud Aveim in Aveda, in the Aveda of Torah and Torah, which Torah Shabiksav is Abba, Father, Avicha, and Torah Shabapeh is Mecha. That's the Aveda, he says, of Torah L'Shma, to draw down Ein Sof, the infinite divine light, into Torah through Ava B'chol Meidecha, like we learned earlier, that the Ava B'chol Meidecha, in other words, that you are loving God with all of you, you're totally consumed with loving God, and that is Negei B'Nefesh. So what does that do? That means you're connecting to Ein Sof, and to draw Ein Sof into Torah. It's not L'Shalesh L'Shma, which is for your interest, but it's L'Shma to the Eibishter, the Ein Sof, into Torah, which is also connected to this central theme of bringing a level that's higher than Ishtalshlus into Ishtalshlus. Or like he said earlier, Yud-K into Vav-K. And with that, we'll continue. Anybody has any questions on what I just said? Okay. The Yesh Lamer, I'm on page 1281, line 7.
What daf was that in Sin Hedron?
Pages can be found at ayinbeis.com. Excuse me?
What daf was that on Sin Hedron? I was looking at Sunday. What daf? Quote?
I can't hear what you're saying. I can't hear you.
What was it? What was the daf? The daf that you put from Sin Hedron? For Sin Hedron, the point about Sin Hedron. What page? You quoted Sin Hedron as the other 6.
No, I quoted Shabbos daf Kuf Chav Zayin Amud Aleph.
Okay. Shabbos,
Kedushin daf Mem. That's cited here, the last page, the bottom of last page.
Shabbos is again on one more time. 127.
Someone else tell them. I can't read. I don't remember. Okay. Someone write it down and give it to Eliezer. Okay. The Yesh Lamer, and we can say the Hine Legabe Lamaila Gam Ken Ksiv, that also regarding above, it also says Ki Ata Avinu. In other words, we're just saying that Abba ve'ima, it's continuing the theme, is father and mother. So it's father, there's the human father and mother. There's Abba ve'ima, as we learned in Atzilus, Chachma and Bina. And he's saying also Lamaila, you call God Ki Ato Avinu. And we also have the name Aim. It says Uksiv Im Rachatz Al Tikreim Ela Aim. So Chazal say, so we see the reference of father and mother also Lamaila. So he's explaining what this, he's going to explain. Chsiv, however, it says, Yesh echad ve'ein sheni loi. There's one and there's no second to him, meaning the Eibishter. Gam ben va'ach ein loi. He also doesn't have a son or a brother. In other words, the Eibishter is above the structure of, let's call it, relationships. So on one hand, we do call father and mother, we call the Eibishter father and mother, but we also say that he's above it all. V'hainu b'chinas atzmus ein sof. Atzmus ein sof is higher than the level of ben and ach and av and aim. V'ayim masha kosav u'kamasha kosav rather b'zoyar Bereshis daf chav beis amid beis, like it says in Zoyar Bereshis 22b, the ilas kola ilas les lei tinyona. That the cause of all causes, which is the Eibishter, that's Leitinyon, does not have a second, like Ein Sheni Lei. There's no second version of it. He's unique and alone. V'yadua, and it's known, the Ilas Kola Ilis, the cause of all causes. It's a name used in Zohar. So you have sometimes Sibis Kola Sibis, sometimes ilas kola ilas, that the ilas kola ilas are b'chinas atzmus ein sof. That's referring to the level of atzmus ein sof, higher than the structure of relationships of ava, be'ima, ach, and ben, etc. So now he's explaining, based on this is the yesh lemer. We said that Torah shabiksav Torah shel peh is father and mother. But then there's kibud ava aim. So he says, the ze inyan kibud avim lahamshich ma'atzmus ein sof b'teira. Kibud avim means more than abba. Abba ve'ima is a level. To honor them is essentially drawing down a level that's higher than they have on their own. Parents without honor are a level. When they're honored in Ruchnius, it's referring to being mamshich from atzmus ein sof into Teira. Because here we're talking about the Abba ve'ima within Teira, written Teira and the oral Teira. Now it's consistent to what he said before, that Abba ve'ima is Yud Kei and Nimshach and Vav Kei. But now he's going even higher because he's going Atzmus Ein Sof into Yud Kei even. That's what it sounds like to me. But the bottom line is it is Amshach from a very high place. And that's what he means, Amshach Atzmus Ein Sof b'Teira. V'hainu, which means what? That means in the exertion in Teira, after the Ava Rabba of B'chol Meidecha that he mentioned before. So in other words, the Ava Rabba leads you. We learned earlier that the Mides elevate the Seichel. Like you said, Heshav Levavis Albonim. It elevates the Seichel. Chagas elevates the Abba Ve'ima to the Yichud Pnimi. So here too, looks like even higher, that the Kibud Ava'im is the Ava Rabba of Ava B'chol Meidecha elevates the person, the learner, to Atzmus Ein Sof, which is then Nimshach into Teira, and that's Kibud Ava'im in Teira. It's like honoring Teira, basically. Honoring Teira by being Mamshach from Atzmus Ein Sof, which is higher than Abba Ve'ima, into Abba Ve'ima. V'chein ha-Teira, and also additionally, the Teira is nikras Toras Chesed. So now he's going to connect. Okay, I should have paused right here. So that covers how Talmud Torah is both also a gili from a higher level, Atzmus Ein Sof. Talmud Torah connected Kulam, the learning of Torah, into Torah. You bring Mamshech Atzmus Ein Sof and Torah. And remember, he said it encompasses all the other items. Nichlolim kol elo hadvarim. So now he explained how Kibbud Aveim is nichlal in Torah. Now he's going to explain how Torah, Gemilas Chasodim is nichlal in Torah. And that's what he comes down. V'chein ha-Torah nikra Toras Chesed. So remember, we said before that that Gemilas Chasodim is the Hamshach of Rav Chesed from a higher level, of Bli Gvul, Chesed without limit into Azah. So here too, he says Torah is called Toras Chesed. So Torah also is connected to Gemilas Chasodim. He doesn't spell out the details, but most likely the same idea that you draw into Torah. When you learn Torah properly, you're drawing into Torah from the higher levels into the Torah. So Torah is called Toras Chesed, and there's also two levels: Toras Chesed, Chesed of Azah, and Chesed of Arich. Though again, he doesn't spell it out; he just says it very briefly, which could be based on volume 3 being like a first version. The Rebbe Rashab did not have a chance to go over it again. Maybe he would have fleshed it out. Maybe not. Just guessing. And then finally, the third thing. What about Havoas Sholom Bein Odom lechavere? Bringing peace between a person and a friend, between one and another. Who gam ken al yedei Torah. So creating peace, which we said before is the yichud, or the Sholom between Arich Ampin and Zohar Ampin. He says also through Torah. Shenemar O Yechazik Yasha Sholom. That Torah creates Sholom and peace, like he's going to say. Kola Esek B'Torah. Chazal say on that pasuk, everyone, Kola Esek, anyone who's Esek, exerts himself or involved, immersed in Torah, Masim Sholom B'Pamalya Shamayla U'B'Pamalya Shamata. They create peace, or they create peace in the higher Pamalya, in the higher realm, the higher Chabura, the higher group, and Pamalya Shamata, and the lower one. So you see that Torah creates Sholom between two entities. Umavur b'Likutei Torah, and it's explained in Likutei Torah, Dibra Maskal, b'Dibra Maskal Hicholzu. That's in Mates. Likutei Torah in the Maimer Hicholzu. Shezeu Chibur b'Chinas Yudke im Vovke. That is the joining, the union, and the joining of Yudke and Vovke. The Chibur HaNefesh HaLekis im HaNefesh HaBamis. And the joining of the divine soul and the animal soul. So here too we see that the third item, Kibbud Aveim, Gemilas Chasodim, and now Havoas Sholom Bein Odom lechavere, is also through Torah. So Torah is Keneged Kulam, because Torah brings all those three. Torah has all those three elements in it. That it does Kibbud Aveim, the Hamshach of Atzmus Ein Sof in Chochmah and Bein in Abba V'Ima, of written Torah and oral Torah. Torah is Chesed, and Torah now creates peace from the higher and the lower. Yudke Vovke Bein Odom lechavere. V'zehu, now he concludes, and this is what the Gemara is saying. Shebe'elo hadvarim Odom eichel perusein be'el mazeh me'ein elam haba. That in these items, these matters, these dvarim, these things, a person eats from the fruits in this world, me'ein, similar to elam haba. Because all these items, that's what they do. They bring a hamshacha that will be la'asad lavi in elam haba, that we have a me'enza now in this in this time, in this world. And now the Rebbe Rashab continues. He says, "V'hagashmi shenimshech midvarim elu," and the physical blessing, I guess, the physicality that is drawn from these things. Yeah. Earlier we learned that every mitzvah draws down divine energy. We said, as a matter of fact, the whole existence is dependent on Torah mitzvahs. God made a condition that because of Torah mitzvahs, He created the world. Sometimes you see it more, sometimes you see it less, but the whole world is brings down bracha. And the whole world, he said, even the non-Jewish world, the secular world, the whole world receives blessings through the mitzvahs that are done. And yet, the Gemara enumerates these four, and specifically because he says the gashmi, the blessing and flow that comes through these is far higher and greater than the hashpos, the shad hashpos gashmi, than other transmissions, physical blessings and flow that come, which, but pashtus, he means not just shad hashpos gashmi in general, he means those that are drawn down by other mitzvahs. Val derech haman, and he's giving an example like the man. What was the difference between the bread from heaven and bread from earth? Both are a blessing. We make a blessing, hazonas hakoil, even al lechem in haaretz. It's also a blessing that God gives us bread, and we thank Him for it. But that bread is manifest in a gashmistic way. Lechem in hashamayim, man, is also shagam begashmi hoya lechem shenivle be'evarim shaloi hoya be'pselis. Man was also a physical food, but it retained a certain spiritual nature that was absorbed by the limbs of the human being without any waste at all. Bread from earth is also a broche, but it's mislabish in klipas nega, like we learned, in the physical world, and therefore it has waste. But lechem and hashmayim, man, u'kamoshon is bar le'il, like we learned at length closer to the end of volume 2 in Ayin Beis, is of a different sort. That is a food that is absorbed. I need to end this now because I see they're calling me.
Lives, as we've seen historic highs, as you mentioned. Hello, this is News.